Have a look at that. Welcome back to the old bloke's kitchen. It must be a cooking video because I've got my chefy apron on. What more can a man want? At this point I could be so trendy I could grow a beard. That'll be a shock to the wife. The whole point of what I do is I like to make ingredients. And if you make decent ingredients, then it means the end result when you actually get around to cooking something makes for a far better end result. Makes perfect sense when you look at it like that, doesn't it? Which it does to me anyway. So what I set out to do was to make myself a smoker stroke dehydrator, and that's what this whole combination is. And if you want to know more about this, if you have a look at my Heritage Craft YouTube channel, you'll see the videos on how to make it. So this is about how to use it. And the whole concept behind this is I smoke and dehydrate something at the same time. So by way of a tester, I thought I'd start off by doing tomatoes. My end result in all of this is I want to end up making smoked paprika. So for the last couple of months I've been growing some Hungarian peppers in my workshop window, and they're coming along quite nicely, but they're not ready yet. So I needed something in order to test this. So I tried smoking tomatoes, and if you smoke them quite a long way and dehydrate them at the same time, you end up with what I can only describe as smoke dried tomatoes, which in olive oil, I must admit, are rather nice. However, if you take it a step further and smoke them and dehydrate them so they're absolutely crisp, and then you can then pulverize that into a powder, and you end up with smoke dried tomato powder, which I have to say is a revelation. I would say if you've never tried it, because nobody else has tried it apart from us. I've done a couple of batches now, and I must admit it's probably the finest additive stroke ingredient I've ever made. And it started off purely as an experiment, which just goes to show that some experiments are worth doing. Enough of me waffling on, let's work out how we're going to do it. So I've got in here 1.5 kilos of tomatoes, and it's a combination of Roma tomatoes at the bottom, and I've got some little cherry tomatoes, or I believe some people call them grape tomatoes, at the top. And I've sliced them reasonably thinly, about 6 millimeters thick. Now at the bottom here I've got this smoke cube thing, which in a moment I will light. I've got applewood sawdust in there at the moment. I've tried a couple of sorts. Don't like oak, so I didn't try oak, but I did try maple the other day, and that was very nice. Today we're going to try apple. And I think that will do it particularly well. Other smoke cubes are available. I rather like the smoke cube. I hate the customer service of the company that does it. I sent them an email the other day asking about something, and I've been roundly ignored. So I'm not very impressed with that. However, we like the product. So we'll light this, set it going, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the door, and I shall leave this. So as you can see, this is just starting to smoke. So what we shall do is we'll shut the door, and we'll leave that for about an hour, by which point this inside of this will be thoroughly covered in smoke, and we've got a nice bit of smoky flavour into the start of our tomatoes. Once we got to that point, then we start adding in some heat. So this has been smoking now for about an hour, so the next stage is we need to get some heat into it. I have this very small pan of charcoal. Now this is commercial charcoal, it's not my charcoal. I've run out of mine. So in order to get this started, I've had to put a bit of lighter fluid on it. So we'll let that burn off. So when this is all nicely charred, that's all ready to go into the other end of this marvellous machine. So here we are. This is the secret weapon of this machine. So this goes into here. The smoke, or the heat, The heat then comes from there up this pipe into the back of our smoker, right, and this will produce the heat that we need to dehydrate the stuff inside. So with the fan connected up on the top, it pulls the air, or it pulls the heat up from our little charcoal fire up through this pipe here and up into the dehydrator, and that's what produces the heat that dehydrates our tomatoes. So all I need to do is to come back about once an hour just to top up the amount of charcoal. We don't want a big charcoal fire, we just want a trickle of heat. That's why I'm using charcoal. Now this is my kind of cooking. It involves smoke, a fire and a hammock. How I suffer for my art. I hope you all appreciate the sacrifices I make on your behalf. Well, here we are. It's the middle of August in England. It's absolutely pouring with rain, the height of the holiday season, and it's impossible to work in the garden. We're due to have thunderstorms and everything today. So sometimes life conspires against us and we just move into my workshop. Now what we now have is these bits of tomato which they've had about 16 hours in the smoker, so they are thoroughly dehydrated. And then just to finish them off, I put them into a conventional oven for about an hour at about 80 degrees, because what I want to do is get them absolutely dried out. I want them as crisp as it's possible to get. And these are pretty well dried out. So the next stage is to use a coffee grinder. This is one I bought especially for the occasion. So it's never seen any coffee beans, but I'm sure if you cleared out your normal one and made it really clean, it would work. So let's put the lid on, press the button. Perfect. That's pretty much what we want. So what we end up with is this really fine powder. And that is smoked tomato powder. That is so concentrated, it's remarkable. You only need the faintest little touch. But it's a very, very basic ingredient. But as I always say, if you get the basic ingredients right, then you'll get much better food. So there you are, 1.5 kilos of tomatoes, which has been smoked and reduced down. I've probably got about 100 grams in there now. What I can't really describe to you is how glorious this smells. It makes my workshop smell the best it's smelled in absolutely years. I mean, the aroma is tremendous. Well, hopefully you got something from that. I know I certainly have. I've got a load of tomato powder. I must say I'm thoroughly looking forward to having it. I'm certainly looking forward to my lunch of tomato bread, which I shall have in a moment. If you enjoyed the video, have a look at the other ones on my channel. You never know, you might even enjoy those as well. And remember, it always helps me if you press the subscribe button at the end. It does make quite a difference to my life. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.